One of the ultimate goals of Chimera, Albeck said, was to create a monster hybrid of smallpox and Ebola. Albeck warned his handlers that the Soviets had sold secrets about genetically modified bioweapons to Libya, Iran, Iraq, India, Cuba, and former Soviet bloc countries in Eastern Europe. U.S. officials took notes and listened. Albeck's greatest frustration, he would let us say, was that these officials did not seem to comprehend the potential catastrophic consequences of the Soviets' program. They did not care about our genetic work. Albeck lamented. When it came to a strategic question, his interrogators told him that they were uninterested in what he had to say. We are only interested in what you know, they said, not what you think could happen. The Pentagon was happy to learn what he knew about the inner workings of biopreparat. Albeck's information was useful, he was told, but his opinions were unwelcome. Soon this too would change. There had been a blind spot at the Pentagon and at DARPA since the early days of the Cold War, and an aloof indifference to the opinions of biologists. That made me think of a scripture. Bear with me for a second. Because at the end of the day, how they said his opinion didn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, they just taking information about the research and, the information about the weapons that they developed. They didn't really care about anything else. And that just show you the mindset of this devil. This is Psalm 73 and 8. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, they think they gods on earth. That's why they're trying to come up with this whole beast system. You know what I mean? That microchip is going to do a lot more than just hold your money and tell your records and who you are and be able to identify you. It's going to be able to track you. It's going to be able to kill you because, I heard multiple different things. It's got a charge because, it's electrical. Your body has a current that runs through it. Also, they said you can put poison in it, cyanide. So, this man is the devil. It says, officials at the White House and the Defense Department officials at the White House and Defense Department were much more interested in what the hard scientists like Jason scientists had to say. Back in 1968, Nobel laureate Joshua Lindenberg pointed out this disadvantage in a science column he wrote regularly for the Washington Post, accusing the federal government of blindness to the pace of biological advance and its accessibility to the most perilous genocidal experimentation. Lindenberg was referring to biological weapons, starting in 1945 with the advent of the atomic bomb. The Pentagon had largely relied on the advice and counsel of physicists and mathematicians as far as advanced weaponry was concerned, but rarely biologists. If World War I had been the chemists' war and World War II the physicists' war, now given the threats facing the Pentagon, would World War III be the biological war? No. World War III is going to be actual nuclear war. You heard him talking about that SS-18 Satan. That's a ICBM. It can actually have like biological weapons fit into it, but at the end of the day, no. This war is going to be a war with these ICBMs. I'm gonna prove that. Bear with me for a second. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 9, verse 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. So ancient warfare, even, somewhat modern warfare with the, the modern day sword, the gun, the machine gun, the rifle, the shotgun, all that, it's not that up close because you could shoot a person for a longer range. It wasn't with sword or axe or whatever weapon in hand, up close and personal. That's why men were probably more men back then, you know what I mean? But now, now you got the drones with the power to kill and do airstrikes, like a video game. So yeah, of course, these men more pussy. But we're gonna go back into that like Elder Apostle Tahar did one of the best videos I've ever seen. He went into some history. And Elder Apostle Tahar being a spear, that's it. I love listening to him. But long story short, he was saying the old Russian saying, it was an old Russian proverb about strong man make good times, but weak man make hard times. And which is true. You know what I mean? When you hungry for something, you diligent. When like 9 out of 10, your kid, if you became wealthy, your kid is not going to, now don't get me wrong, it's possible, but that's a disciplined, either that personality is like that and the Most High dealing with that person, or the father had something that somebody manipulated. Like Alexander the Great became great because of, I believe, his father. His father was a king. His father put him and set him on the path. He had him around the greatest teachers at the time, around the greatest warriors. That's why, that's the spirit, because one of the brothers was just acting like, well, so Alexander was a bad man. I'm like Apostle Tahar said in that same video, he said, well, I'm not for sure it was the same video. He said, Esau might be a faggot, but he ain't no punk. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they was beasts. Look at the Roman Empire. Like, yeah, so Alexander was a beast. He might have been a fag, but you got to remember, this man conquered like most of the known world at a young age. You know what I mean? Like 433. So which is symbolic as well. So let's say uh, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. And then when you go into Zechariah 14, it tell you about the effects of, because this is the only, like when you think of an ICBM or a nuclear weapon, the only, when you get that vision, when you see Terminator 2 and how Sarah Connor was holding on to that gate and that nuclear bomb went off and burnt the flesh off. And you gotta take time to think about it. This was her husband, James Cameron's, thing came to his mind. The Most High, what it tells you in the book of Job, that he sealeth a man's instruction in his dreams. Like the Most High, and he sent him a couple dreams. That's why that guy, when you watch a lot of his movies like Avatar, who do you think Avatar was? Avatar was the Northern Kingdom. And Esau was Esau, but them giant blue, what they want to call them, that the what was their name in the movie? You know what I'm talking about though. The whose planet they was on? They that was Gad or Reuben. It was Northern Kingdom. It's a statement that said they asked him why he doesn't have any black people in the movie. He said, "My people of color or black people were blue." Anyhow, black and blue, huh? Back to the book. Lindenberg was referring to biological weapons starting in 1945 with the invention of the atomic bomb. So, I read all that. He says, briefed on Alabek's revelations about the Soviet bioweapons program, DARPA was quick to note this blind spot and to take action. DOD had very little capability in biology. In the early 1990s, he was called Larry Land, DARPA's director for 1995 to 1998. Now, DARPA recognized just how worrisome it was that biology and the life sciences in general could lead the next generation, next revolution in military affairs, and recognized too that the Department of Defense was behind the curve. The Pentagon needed its own core group of advisors, American scientists at the leading edge of biology. The Jason scientists were contacted. Since leaving the Institute of Defense Analysis in 1973, Jason scientists had several homes. For the first 8 years, they received their defense contacts through the Stanford Research Institute in Menlo Park, California, SRI. I was a longtime ARPA contractor and information technology pioneer, and he had been one of the first 4 nodes on ARPANET. Under the SRI in the 1970s, the Jason brought several computer scientists and electrical engineers into their rank. I'm gonna stop there. I might skip around a little bit because they going into some much deeper stuff. I want juicy stuff, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna stop there.